30-second pitch to investors. Let's hear it.
Well, what I would say to an investor is that if you had a chance to have a beautiful luxury, smooth riding car that drives 700 miles, refuels in 7 minutes if you need to go longer, and it is also zero emissions, what would stop you not to think about getting one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think fossil fuels have been great. They did their job, and we're glad we're here. And now it's time to look into the future. And we need to cut dependence of energy from foreign countries and foreign resources. We can generate hydrogen locally here. We can be energy independent, and we don't have to sacrifice anything. In fact, with the combination of electricity and hydrogen, we can get vehicles that have tremendous acceleration, drive up to 700 miles, and you can refuel them in 7 minutes. So if that's our future, that's what we're bringing Revo Zero, a revolution on the transportation sector. Why going back, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when the future is much brighter and cleaner as well, who doesn't want to have clean air in their cities, and walking on the highways
Right.
or walking on the sideways, sorry, and breathe nice air.
Yeah. Well, how did you get into this? Like, what's your background? How did you become, a partner at Revo Zero? Like, how did you get here? What's your background?
Well, my background is very strange. As I used to say, I used to be on the dark side of the force. My background is technology. I always were very intrigued about technology. I, started my career very early developing industrial computer systems. And I have a background on industrial electronics. Obviously, got my business background and my degrees and all that good stuff. But on the core down there is all about technology and equipment. Developed software for many years. Always been passionate. Don't ask me why. I don't know where it comes from, but I love everything that that it moves. Like
Hmm.
cars, motorcycles, airplanes, boats, anything, even lawnmowers, anything that moves. For some reason, I always get very attracted. And I think there was a moment when I was watching the Apple reveal of the first iPhone, right, with Steve Jobs, when he said, "Well, we have an iPhone and we have an iPod, but why we cannot have both combined
Right.
together, right?" And he showed the iPhone, and to me that triggered, and it's like, it's not about always inventing the new big thing. Sometimes it's about combining existing things and
Hmm.
make them work better than how they work independently. And this is what gave birth to the Revo Zero plug-in fuel cell technology, which is basically combining technologies that have been there by themselves. They are not that practical, but when you combine them, you have then the perfect solution.
Yeah. So when you're putting this combination together, we're really talking battery and hydrogen fuel cell technology, right? And I
Yeah.
think you use a term from what I saw on the website, PFC technology. Can you explain what that is and how it actually works?
Yeah, we call that plug-in fuel cell. And
Okay.
basically, everybody probably understands what a plug-in car is. You just plug it
Hmm.
in and you
Right.
charge it. And a fuel cell is basically a device that converts hydrogen into electricity, right?
Hmm.
So what we've done with our technology, which is there's patent pending. Hopefully, it's gonna come soon. But we had it for a couple of years already. So it's adding the battery component into a fuel cell in a way. So this battery gets charged either by plugging it or by the fuel cell itself using hydrogen on board. So in a way, you never run out of battery. That's kind of the concept. It's like an electric car. Imagine an electric car that never runs out of battery, right?
Mm.
So that would be that's a dream, right? And
Yeah.
with our lab tests and prototypes and all that stuff, it works like a charm. And we are now in the process of getting our first pre-production unit or pre-production zero unit, which is the before we manufacture the series and all that stuff, and we get the homologation process by the NTSB, Department of Transportation, all that good stuff, right?
Hmm.
So we're getting now in the process of testing all this technology on a running vehicle that delivers the promise, right? 700 miles
Yeah.
refuels in 7 minutes.
Right.
And the way is like that. I mean, you get it at home and you plug it in like any other electric vehicle, but when
Hmm.
you're on the road, the vehicle uses the energy that is on board, and if it needs more, it uses the energy from the hydrogen.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
eventually, you have a range of 700 miles. And if you happen to need more hydrogen, you just refuel at a hydrogen refueling location, and you can refuel in 7 minutes. Which, by
Wow.
the
Wow.
way, we're building this refueling hydrogen network nationwide very quickly and economically.
So, yeah, because I was just thinking about like hydrogen tends to be sort of the, maybe the toughest or the most challenging refueling network. Like, how do you guys go into thinking about the network that has to be built, the types of cars? I mean, that's a massive, massive infrastructure to take on. How do you sort of walk before you run and build this like in some tests and get this off the ground? How do you sort of think about what are the small steps right now that lead to bigger steps down the road?
Well, it's not that massive. In appearance, could be if you think that, oh, every place there is a gas station, we need to have a hydrogen refueling site. But that's not
Hmm.
true, because with the ability of recharging at home, most of your driving on a daily basis is going to be done by your battery, like any other
Right.
electric
Hmm.
vehicle. It's
Yeah.
just when you are on the road on long trips when you're going to use the hydrogen. So we only need hydrogen refueling sites along the major roads. We do not need
Okay.
refueling
Hmm.
sites in every single corner. That would happen, for instance, with a gasoline car, right?
Right. Right.
So the number of locations that we need to install in order to cover the entire country and be sure that at least every 20 to 50 miles there is some refueling location.
Hmm.
It's not that big. It's around 1,200 and to cover the entire country. And with our 700 miles range, I mean, you might say, oh, 20 miles is a big distance. Yeah, it would be a big distance, but with a 700 mile range, is not a big distance.
Right. Right. Right.
Our
Hmm.
reserve life would start when you have 100 miles left, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to say, hey, at least wherever you're going, just be sure that you stop somewhere. You have 4 or 5 opportunities to refuel when this network done.
Right.
So yeah, it's a massive project, but it's not that massive because we do not need that many locations.
Yeah. So I was also digging in on your website. You have, three models sort of mentioned: energy, electron, and ride, correct? I think those are the three that I was seeing on the site. Tell me a little about like which one of those are closest to production? What is the difference of them? And like what would we be looking for in the future between those three different models?
Yeah, the Model Energy is our first model.
Okay.
Big, luxurious SUV. Um, it's designed for the American market. We love our big cars, right? And
Mhm.
one of the things that we've noticed, and with some of the electric cars, and we never understood that, is they start building these little tiny shoe boxes, right? And that
Mhm.
no one wants to buy. And then they said, oh, no one wants electric. No, no one wants shoe boxes
Right. Yeah.
that also happen to have like 150 or 200 miles range.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's what the problem is. That's what I said originally. For investors, if you have the ability to have a nice, luxurious 3-row SUV, 700 miles range, refuels in 7 minutes, zero emissions, is there any reason that you wouldn't do it, right?
Right.
If you don't have to sacrifice, and we know this from history, we all want to go green as long as we don't have to sacrifice anything,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Don't change
Yeah.
my lifestyle. The
Yeah.
problem is let me blow the world if I need to change this tiny bit. And
Right.
what we're trying to learn from human nature is that we like big cars and we like long range,
Hmm.
and we don't want to become engineers. Sometimes with some cars, some of these cars, you really have to plan where you're going, or will you have a charge that would be enough. I mean, you got to become like an astronaut going to the moon in order to go and buy groceries. No one wants to do that. So
Right.
that's why we say no. Our approach is to build vehicles that people want, and
Yeah.
people like our big SUVs. The problem with the
Hmm.
big SUVs is, oh, they use a lot of gas, they pollute, da 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 da. Okay, what about if we have a big, large, luxurious SUV that doesn't use any gas, that doesn't pollute, and that also gives you almost twice the range that you would have with any gasoline car
Right.
anyway, right? So
Right.
what would be the reason of not going that way, And
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's break down those economics a little bit. Like what are we looking at on the cost of consumers of fueling a Revo Zero compared to like gasoline or pure electric? Like what do the economics sort of look like in your guys' world?
Yeah, well, it's going to depend a little bit on the profile of the individual. For instance,
Hmm.
as I said, you can refuel these or recharge these cars at home like any other electric vehicles, and we know that that's the cheapest and the lowest cost. You can
Hmm.
fill up the battery for $20, right?
Yeah.
When you're on the road, uh, hydrogen is kind of equivalent to the price of gasoline. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending where you are and the taxes and
Hmm.
all that stuff. But eventually, with the normal average profile, and then we're getting the Department of Transportation statistics here, which claim that 80% of the trips that people take on their vehicles are kind of local, and 20% are kind of, well, I think it's 85-15% anyway.
Okay.
But again, 80-20, the
Hmm.
famous 80-20 rule that applies to everything in life.
Yeah.
So 80%, 20%. So if you combine the long trips and the short trips, the average that you get as far as economics would be equivalent to what you get on a hybrid car,
Mm.
more or less. Hydrogen, it comes from water. And in our case, we use green hydrogen, or what is called now clean hydrogen. I like better when it was green. We can talk about the difference if you want. It's just a subtle difference based on Department of Energy labeling. But long story short, the hydrogen we generate comes from renewable sources. So, like in the movies, they say no animals have been hurt
Right.
in this movie. So no CO2 has been used in producing our
Gotcha.
hydrogen. And that's our goal. A lot of the hydrogen you see out there comes from reformed methane and other type of CO2 fossil fuel sources.
Hmm.
So that's just basically shifting a problem to someone else. It's like your trash bag. Oh, I
Hmm.
put it on the container and then it's like it disappears. No, you just pass it to someone else who's going to have to
Right.
clean
Right.
it up, right? But in our case, by producing 100% renewable or clean hydrogen with no CO2 in the process, then there's no trash bag to
Mm.
give to anybody, right?
Sure. Right.
So and that has three major benefits. One, I don't want to get into politics here. Everybody has their own views, of
Hmm.
CO2, no CO2, whatever makes the trees grow faster, makes the rivers hotter. That's a debate, right? Let
Yeah.
anybody, whoever wants to solve that, solve it. But I think the biggest issue that no one talks about, and that's to me it's the most important, is that no one loves the smell of an exhaust of a gasoline car,
No.
right? Or a diesel car, right? If you're walking on the city and you see a big bus that is diesel and the black smoke everywhere, everybody hates that smell, right? You
Hmm.
don't have that with hydrogen, which
Right.
means that our cities will be cleaner, our cities will smell nicer, and also if you have a little baby walking on the sidewalk, you're not gonna go next to the exhaust of a diesel truck to get the
No.
baby with all those smokes. So naturally, we all know that that's not good, right?
Right.
In
Right.
fact, if you look at the exhaust of any fossil fuel combustion gasoline, I mean, there's around 10 components there that would kill you right away if you get enough dosage. And
Hmm.
there's another 10 that would give you cancer. So,
Right.
so we're releasing cancerous, toxic pollutants and things that would kill you. Why? Why do we do that?
Yeah.
It's because, oh, we've been doing it forever. Yeah, sure. We've been riding horses forever, but now we go on cars too.
Yeah.
So there's solutions for all that. And third and most important, energy independence.
Hmm.
If we produce our own hydrogen, we do not need the energy from other nations. We are
Hmm.
not then a force. No country is a country if the whole economy of a country depends on someone else's mood on saying,
Right.
oh, I'm going to increase the prices of fuel today.
Yeah.
And then everything, trucks, store, groceries, everything goes crazy when someone, 10,000 miles from here decides to change the prices of something, right?
Hmm.
So hydrogen gives us the freedom to be energy independent. So if we're energy independent, our cities are cleaner, they smell good, and who knows, maybe, we don't contribute on increasing the temperatures of the water, whatever. What's wrong with this picture? Why we
Right.
are not all jumping into this, right? And we
Yeah.
think people will, because eventually a future does not stop for anybody.
Yeah. Let's move over a little bit to like sort of markets that you guys are currently targeting. Seems like you're probably going to be looking at airports, municipalities, universities. Is that where you guys are kind of thinking first to kind of get kind of get the wheels in motion? No pun intended. Is that what you guys are thinking right now?
Well, there's a combination of things here. The network, yes. And
Mm,
why is that? There's two ways to build a network. Either you build a network, you remember the movie, right? Build it, they will come, right?
yeah. Right.
I
Yep. Yep.
love that
Yep.
movie.
Field of Dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one way, which is what a lot of our EV charger colleagues do.
Hmm.
They put chargers everywhere, hoping
Yeah.
cars will show up. There's another model, which is build it and use it, and more people will come. The reason we're going into these closed environments or control environments like airports, municipalities, is because when we install a hydrogen dispenser in a location, and there's vehicles around that location providing services for that location, basically what we're creating is a little closed cell that has an economical life by itself.
Mm, hmm.
So by providing vehicles, and not ours necessarily, it could be there's several hydrogen vehicles that can be that are available in the market. So by providing those vehicles, we get use of that hydrogen refueling location, and we
Right.
create a revenue model associated with it. So for an investor, one of the concerns on the typical EV models was, oh, we build these charging stations. What happens? No one shows up, right? Uh,
Hmm.
that's not. We have a vaccine again, or an antidote, not vaccine. That had a bad name now, but even though vaccines are great. But anyway, there's an antidote to that, and the antidote is, let's put a hydrogen refueling site in an area where there are vehicles already that can use it from day number one. So
Right.
as long as that site is up, it becomes a revenue generation model.
Yeah.
Eventually, one site here, one site there, another site, another site, another site, 10 sites, 20 sites, you look from above and they are a network. So by
Right.
the time our vehicles hit the market, there will be a network already available for these vehicles to be refueled.
Yeah. How do you guys think right now about competition? I mean, do you think of companies like Tesla or Toyota and Hyundai? Are they like, direct competitors to you, or do you see them as something different? Kind of how do you guys think about competition in what you're talking about right now?
We don't see any competition
Hmm.
because to compete means that you gotta go for the same market and the same
Hmm.
business model. What makes us unique in our approach is that we combine uh, uh, both strategies. We're
Right.
building the PFC, the plug-in fuel cell, vehicles running with battery and hydrogen, but at the same time, we're building the infrastructure. One of the things that happens in the electric vehicle world is you find companies that are building the network, the refueling network, and
Right.
they really struggle because unless cars show up, there's no money coming in. Then you have companies that make cars or shoe boxes with batteries. But anyway, let's call them cars. They make cars. First, they're not very attractive, not appealing, and then there's no place to make the link. Oh, where do I go to charge? There
Right.
is one company, and as you mentioned, I think Tesla did a very good job back in the day on building the network. At the same time, they were coming up with the cars. When the Roadster came out, there were already multiple charging facilities.
Right.
And now it's funny enough. If I ask you, what do you think Tesla does? You're going to say, oh, they do electric cars. Well, Tesla has more EV charging locations than any, or than all, not any, than all of the EV charging companies combined.
Mm.
So in reality, Tesla is probably an EV charging business who
Right.
happens to make cars, depending how you
Yeah.
look at it, right?
It's
I
weird. It's
think
crazy.
they did a good move because basically they created this loyalty. If you buy a
Mm.
Tesla, you charge it on a Tesla side, you don't have to worry about anybody else, right?
Right.
In the standard EV world, you buy I don't know, a Chevy, a Ford, or whatever, and then oh, where do I charge it? You need to install this other app, and then you go
Mm.
to this charger that belongs to someone else, and then it's not maintained properly, it's not working, and then it's a nightmare, and then so when you're in the Tesla world, in a way, you feel like they're taking care of you. When you are in the other world, it's like good luck, you're on your own, right?
Right.
In a way, we are following the footsteps of what Tesla did. I
Sure.
think that's a smart strategy. There's nothing wrong by looking smart people. I think Steve Jobs was very smart, and we we
Mhm.
we got this concept of combining existing technologies, and I think Tesla did a very smart approach by doing vehicles and infrastructure at the same time. As far as hydrogen vehicles and infrastructure, I think we are the only company. I don't know any other company that is having that approach. Toyota,
Yeah.
phenomenal, great quality cars, really, really high quality hydrogen cars. But Toyota doesn't build infrastructure.
Right.
So are they competitors? No. I mean, they are colleagues. They're on the same space.
Hmm.
And, Hyundai, yeah, the same. But as far as building vehicles and infrastructure at the same time, I think we're on the hydrogen space. I think we're plus on the plug-in fuel cell hydrogen space because you don't need to use hydrogen all the time. You can charge the vehicle at home, and 80% of the time you're not going to use an ounce of hydrogen.
Right.
That will be for the time in the day that you're going to do a long trip.
Sure.
And
Sure.
with that concept, I think we're the only company. So we
Yeah.
don't have any competition in for what we do.
Sure. Sure. Where can like what is happening right now in terms of fundraising and in looking for investors? Like where are you guys right now in the fundraising sort of landscape?
Well, we started the company with self funding it.
Mm.
Luckily, we our shareholder structure was is comprised by a bunch of very smart, successful entrepreneurs that happened to build companies before, acquire companies, sold companies, and luckily they have this vision of okay, we're building a future here.
Hmm.
So we were lucky to be a team of individuals, very entrepreneur, and with resources to start a company and move it forward to the point we are. We have not really gone for institutional capital yet. I think that there will be a day, but before we do that, to be really successful, we need to create a movement. This
Mm.
company cannot be successful. I love this office, man. This is beautiful. I can show you.
Mm.
But a company cannot be built at an office. company has to be built by the people who are motivated and enthusiastic about the project.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of effort on creating a movement, and we open this movement to individual investors, and that's what we think is a good, it's a good time now to get more of those, because at the end of the day, basically every investor becomes you know, an ambassador for the company in their
Sure.
network. So we want to make noise. We want
Yeah.
this company to be a company that everybody talks about it, right? And what we've learned, when you go for institutional funding very early, you lose that ability sometimes,
Yeah.
because then directions come from offices. Listen, as I told you, my background is in the technology. Well, I can show you my cuts, you know, with the with all the wrenches and screwdrivers. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm here at the office and I'm making meetings and presentations, and when I have time, I'm back at the lab, you know, working with stuff, because I
Yeah.
like that, right?
Mhm.
So you lose that ability. We make decisions here because we're passionate about the technology, we're passionate about the future. Sometimes when you go with institutional capital, you lose that ability a little bit,
Sure.
right? And then
Sure.
decisions become more abstract. There will be a time for that, but
Yeah.
we wanna spread the voice. Uh, uh, um, all over the place. We want a lot of people to be part of this, even if it's smaller amounts or bigger amounts
Mhm.
or whatever. But for us, it's always about building a movement, because at the end of the day, people is what make changes in life.
Yeah.
It's never someone in an office. You know,
Sure.
it's the people who are passionate
Mhm.
about something.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, Ruben, I appreciate you taking time out of your day here. I'm obviously following what you guys are doing behind the scenes. I think you've got an interesting vision. I think you're the right team to put it together. It's very, very cool stuff. And I'm watching from my end. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. And everybody, if you guys are interested, I'll have all the links in the show notes. So please go click, reach out to Ruben, connect with them, and follow along what they're doing. So Ruben, appreciate your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna hit the old stop button here.